What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Hockey YouTube channel, episode 15 of season 7. I'm your host, Jim Michaelbone, joined as always by Jack Smith. And if you're catching us live on YouTube, make sure to smash good that subscribe button. Hit the alert so you never miss a show. And everyone watching on Twitter, make sure you head over to YouTube. Give us a subscribe. All the podcast listeners out there, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you're the first in line when the newest episodes drop. Flyers are taking on a division rival, the Pittsburgh Penguins, tonight. Live during the show, they're getting their asses whooped, but it is a road game. And speaking of road games and traveling, Jack, what can you tell us about fans of Philly?
Well, Flyers fans, we've got something special for you today. Looking to take your game day experience to the next level? Then look no further than fans of Philly. With over 14 years of experience, they're the go-to team for putting together an unforgettable travel package for die-hard Philly sports fans. Why fans of Philly, you ask? Let me break it down for you. These guys have spent years building the best relationships with bars, hotels, transportation, and the teams themselves, you name it. Every trip they plan gets better, and trust me, they'll make sure your experience is top-notch, and your team won't be down 4-1 in the first period. Whether it's scouting out the perfect hotel, finding the hottest nightlife, or securing the best seats in the arena, fans of Philly has it all figured out. They know how to make your next trip an absolute blast. So go on and head on over to fansofphilly.com. That's PH, fansofphilly.com, and book your next Flyers road trip today.
Well done. I think that's 3-4 weeks in a row. You're on fire, Jack. Just like your fantasy football team. Jack and I are playing each other in the finals this season.
It is
so
hands down the most important league.
Yeah.
Just for bragging rights. I don't even care about the money. I'll donate the money. I just want to win. And it means a lot. And I shouldn't be here, but I am.
You are. What do you got in the background? Is that your sign flashing back there? Oh, no. Sorry. It's probably, you still got that game on, don't you?
Yeah, I should probably turn it off. Oh, there it is. Hey,
there it is.
There she blows. All right.
Beautiful sign.
There, you turn that shit a little bit. Yeah, let me get that asinine game off the screen here. But,
so speaking of fans of Philly, guys, I just want to give a shout. So the fans of Philly, guys, are getting a bus together. They're going to the Madison Square Garden while the Flyers take on the New York Rangers, that dumpster fire of a hockey team, dumpster fire of a city. So make sure you guys head over to fansofphilly.com and reserve your trip today. I believe that's on January 23rd. So you'll be heading up there. They do things right. I'm sure you guys have seen what they're doing with the Eagles tailgates. The Flyers tailgates are just as fun. So head over to fansofphilly.com. And, hey, maybe we'll even be up there with you guys. That could be fun. So we have a big guest coming on tonight. Our good friend Russ Cohen is coming on to talk about his brand new book. That'll be around 8 o'clock. So that can be in about 10, 12 minutes. Whenever Russ signs on here, we'll get going there. But book's titled Game Winners, the greatest game-winning goals in hockey history. So that should be a fun one for all the viewers and listeners. Drop your most favorite game-winning goal in the chat. And I know that I have one that comes to mind for me, Jack. I'm sure you have a bunch as well. We'll wait for Russ to come on to start getting to those. Travi Ballin in the chat. Fans of Philly is the best. Yes. Thanks, Travi. If you have a favorite game-winning goal, drop some in the comments there. Travi is a bevy of knowledge. Doesn't shut up on the car rides to Flyers games. So lots of game-winning goal knowledge from the Travster there, I'm sure. But in the meantime, Flyers are getting their asses whooped tonight. I think they're already on Christmas vacation, down 4-1 to the rival Pittsburgh Penguins, Jack, and just a mess, an absolute mess of a first period so far. Were you able to catch most of that one?
Unfortunately, yes. First period just ended. I pretty much caught the whole thing. It's 4-1. It could be 5-1. There was a goal called back. Nobody looks like they're interested. Maybe Zamula, of all people, had the goal. Nice pass from Paling. Nice shot from Zamula. But other than that, just slop. Terrible slop.
Yeah. And I got to say this. Some of those defensemen are struggling. And, if I wanted to get angry and upset and up in arms that Emil Andre's not playing, I could. I very well could, Jack. I won't, but I could. I could get upset. It's Christmas. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I'm not going to get angry. But Zamula did score the goal. Cam York. There's something going on there. I wonder what happened while he was off, while he was not playing hockey. There was a picture that actually Travis sent me, and it looks like Cam York gained a little weight.
Uh-oh.
Uh, and maybe not so much food weight, like I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but there's something going on there. Cam York, I don't know. Flyers D in general hasn't looked right. Sam Ersson hasn't looked right since coming back. He's given up. I think we said it on our last show or last post game. Every single game, Jack, doesn't matter who's in goal. They're giving up a softie. They're giving up bad goals in these games, and we talk about it a lot. If you're the team in front of the goalie, how confident are you? You start to play a little different in front of these guys. You start to play a little tighter. You're squeezing sticks. When you don't have that same confidence in your goalie compared to when you do have the confidence, you feel like you can do whatever you want out there. If you make a mistake, your goalie is going to bail you out. And I just wonder if that's now starting to creep back in here for this team. What do you think?
It certainly seems to be what I'm seeing. I mean, for a while it was Coley soft. Like I'm like, there's always one, and it's really pretty stupid. But now, like just watching this game now, it's not all on Erson, obviously, but it's like there was a moment I was like, geez, like he's like reverting back to when he was playing too many games. This is one small sample size, but lately as a team, it has not been pretty. They've been on Christmas vacation for about a week and a half now. And, you have a game like you did against Columbus. You'd think that would like infuse some momentum or confidence or something like that, and seems to have just no effect on them at all, which is very irritating and definitely something the Flyers team of the recent history that was considered the failed error where they had good players and were trying to win but couldn't. And that's a little scary. I'm hoping they can break out of that after the Christmas break. The Flyers have notoriously been bad around this time of year, leading right up into the Christmas break. It goes back to the Richards Carter era, playing a bottom dwelling team like Florida back in the day, and they'll get roasted like 5-1 or something. It's like, what the so I mean, maybe it's some of those woes, but it's really not, because they've been playing pretty rough for a while now. Turns out the Columbus game's not a turnaround, but when they come out of the break, they're going to be playing Anaheim, and they better take care of business against Anaheim. I don't even care. Like, figure it out. I don't want any Cutter bullshit here. I think that game might be in Anaheim. I'm not sure, but no bullshit here. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. They're not supposed to win this year. Like, this is still a rebuild. I know we can get swept up in it all because of Michkov, because of other players, what have you. You do want to see them play well. You don't want to see them get trounced. You want to see them like have a good game. So I'm not going to kill myself over it. I know people are like, fire Danny, fire Torts, light the Wells Fargo Center on fire. By the way, that's about to come off. I believe 2024 ends. So that silly, stupid name and that stupid bank, by the way. So only a few more games there. Sorry, personal note.
Couldn't tell.
So yeah, it is what it is. It's one of those things. I roll my eyes, and it's kind of just, when we were finished here, I'll check it out. But really, it's almost on to the next game, on to the break, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's kind of, just in case the viewers or anyone hasn't checked the standings of late, for a little while there, maybe a week or so, Flyers were in a playoff spot. They were in the wild card, first or second in the wild card. They're now 4 points back of each team, currently sitting in the 2 wild card standings. Tampa Bay and Ottawa each have 38 points. Tampa Bay somehow only played 31 games, so I would say that they have somewhat of a stranglehold in their spot, while the Ottawa Senators have played 34 and have 38 points. The Flyers have played 34 and have 34 points. Pittsburgh sits exactly a point ahead of the Flyers with the game. The Flyers do have a game in hand, but this is I guess if there's an important game this early in the season, this is it. And Pittsburgh kind of, flexing their experience muscles around a little bit, dominating the Flyers 4-1 in the first period. Yeah, they sure do. So Crosby setting a career milestone against the Flyers, and
whatever. I don't care. Shut up.
I got to say, like, as much as I do enjoy watching him these days, that kind of stuff still irks me a little bit. Like,
I hate him. I still hate him. Like, he's a little twerp that first came into the league. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
All you, and you know who I'm talking to, Jim. All those little a-holes out there who are like, hey, put him in a Flyers jersey. Screw you all. I don't care.
I would
if
take him.
I lose followers. I don't care if you kick me off the show. I don't want him anywhere near Philly. I hate him. I'll always hate him. He can pound sand. And you could throw back in my face. Well, what about Yager? I know. I was all for Yager. All that shit. I don't know. It's different. It's different. And we don't have enough time for me to explain how, but I could. It's different. Screw him. Stop sending those a-hole memes. I hate him. He sucks. McDavid's 1,000 times better. Moving on.
Somebody DM me one of the Crosby jerseys. Crosby in a Flyers jersey, real quick. You really wouldn't like Sidney Crosby on the Flyers?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I've been called goofy for saying that in the past. Then I guess I'm goofy because no, like hate is real to me. It's real.
All right.
I mean, thank you, Eric. That's an understatement. And he's really not that bad anymore. It only took 15 years, but screw him. Shadow, you can say whatever you want, pal. I'll give you. I'll let you slide. You're the only one though. You're the only one.
$50 and you guys can say whatever you want on this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Russ is going to be here in a few minutes. So we'll see if we can get to a couple comments before we get going here. Just a reminder, we're going to be joined by Russ Cohen to talk his brand new book, Game-Winning Goals, the Greatest Goals in Hockey History. So if you guys have some of your favorite goals, make sure you drop them in the comments and we'll talk about them once Russ comes on the show. So yeah, in the meantime, let's get to some comments here. Dan Knightley, 2 so-called core pieces in Cam York and Sam Urson are looking hideous. Yeah, maybe they need the break, Jack. What do you think?
Oh, 1,000%. They're already on it. Yeah, I mean, they really are. I think you could argue before this game they were. The Columbus game gave us like life. And it's like, have we stooped that low? It's like Columbus, who have been playing a little bit better, but like still, like, you know, you had to come back and win in overtime for that one. Now you're playing the hated rivals, and apparently these guys would take Crosby on their team too because they're just letting him right into the zone like he plays for the Flyers. It's outright stupid. And it was like immediately a minute and a half into the game, and it's this shellacking, 4 goals in the first period. Like Christ.
Yep.
Oh, but look, the games like this are only going to make people think York is more and more expendable. And those people who are always saying Urson's not a starting goalie, he's a backup. That's where these kind of games, that's where that kind of creeps into your mind. Yeah. I'm definitely not there yet, but like, you're going to remember these games and be like, dude, what? Like, definitely the team didn't like give up immediately. Like, it's kind of these soft chances, these soft goals that are really screwing you. And it's tough, man. I hate when they just make this team look so freaking good. Like their play combined with the Pittsburgh's aggressiveness and fluky goals and whatnot. It's like they turn the clock back 10 years. You know, it's like, oh, here we go. It's because most of the same names, which is embarrassing in its own right. But hey, look at it this way. People were worried about the Penguins finishing in the bottom of the league, getting another top pick. Maybe they don't now. We'll give them 2 points tonight. And, you know, they bump them up in the standings a little bit.
What do you think about this from Smitty Fishtown? And I think we've seen you in here, Smitty, but just in case, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Will Torts sit Cam York in Anaheim, his hometown? I don't know.
Can't rule it out. I mean,
yeah, I guess you can't, right?
Between the way he's been playing and whatnot, and he apparently loves to do that, would not surprise me. But the break might, you know, throw things off. We'll see. Maybe York will get fatter on the break too, and they'll have to bench him. Maybe
he'll get fatter. He said.
Well, gun to my head, man.
You almost slipped that past me there.
I did.
You said it so. Maybe he'll just get fatter. I don't know.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So, yeah, it's definitely possible. Like, I don't think it's crazy at all. So we'll see what they do.
Can someone? I'm sorry. This is from Rosario. Can someone else come in and coach the power play? And we haven't. So this has kind of died down a little bit this year, I think, all the calling for Rocky Thompson, because the Flyers have improved, and they pretty much improved the way that Briere said they were going to improve. You know, he said, you know, I expect it to be better, but I don't expect it to be like middle of the pack or anything. And I was a little bit surprised when he said that, because to me that means, you know, we're going to be near the bottom, but we don't want to be last again. And So far, that's kind of how things are going. Are you still on that train, Jack? The get Rocky Thompson out of here on the power play thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm not going to be upset if he got fired. Like, what has he really brought to the team? The other thing, the offense had some issues for a while too that he was in charge of. But like, you heard Jackie Spiegel basically quote Torts and say how even Michkov game has fallen off a little bit too when it comes to the power play. So there's one, you can't get rid of everybody. You've added Michkov and improved a little bit. Now it seems to be slipping off. They are again struggling to just get set up in the zone. It usually takes a minute and 10 seconds of the power play before they get it all set up. They're back to giving up shorthanded chances. Like, I don't understand why. Yes, he's a great hockey mind. Maybe in their minds they're still in a rebuild. Doesn't matter, but I don't know, man. Like, it's really disheartening to watch at times. Like, I don't understand what they're attempting. Nothing's changing. I give them the rest of the season. I'm not going to do it now, but it's really confusing to me what they see that, and then plus the product that we're actually seeing. So I don't know. He's got to figure out something soon.
Yep, for sure. And our special guest has just joined, so we'll bring him on stage here. Mr. Russ Cohen. Russ, happy holidays. How are you?
Good. Happy holidays to you guys too. Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Excited to get you on the show. You have big news that you came out with. I think it was last week, Russ. You have a brand new book that you just came out with. Congratulations, first and foremost. Game Winners, the greatest game-winning goals in hockey history, Russ. What can you tell us about your brand new book?
Yeah, what I can tell you is, I wish my camera wouldn't freeze. What I can tell you is that it was the idea of Matthew Blittner, my co-host, and he came up with the idea. So we hashed it out, and I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was something that people would enjoy, but also probably rip me for, and that's okay. I've come out with list books before, so I'm used to that. Everybody has their own ideas, but it was fun to do. You know, some of these goals are really fun to reminisce. Some of them are painful from your childhood, but it's just, but it's good to put them out there. I always like to give credit. Some of these goals are scored by players that you wouldn't expect. Like we got a quote from Dan Carcillo on his at Yankee Stadium when he's with the Rangers, and that's, those kinds of things are, big highlights for guys. And a lot of times people remember them. So it was fun. It's fun to do it. Yeah. It just went on sale late last week. I don't even have a physical copy of it yet. I'll have it soon, probably in the next couple days, but we wanted to get it out there so people could buy it, enjoy it. It's on there on Amazon and digital and all that.
I just wanted to mention, I was just looking for it on Amazon, and anybody interested, you can get it off Amazon. So head on over there. Or how about like Barnes and Noble, bookstores, things like that?
I don't know if they've picked it up yet.
Okay.
I haven't looked and worked it all yet. That's why we made sure Amazon first. So
yeah, for sure, that's the way to go. Well, congratulations. And so I asked some of the viewers to drop some of their favorite game-winning goals in the chat here. But before we get to those, Russ, do you have maybe a top 3 or a top 5 of game-winning goals for yourself?
I've never scored a game winner. At least a game that counted. AJ Perez stoned me in the shootout. AJ covers out of DC in a media game, and at least I got it on net, so I was happy about that.
That makes 2 of us. 3 of us, maybe, Jack, huh?
Yeah.
No, I obviously the Mato goal was a big goal in my life. I grew up in New York, grew up a Ranger fan, so that was a fun one. I feel bad for Sam Rosen. Howie Rose gets the call on that, and that's the radio call. But Sam did a good job on TV, and it's Sam's last year in TV, but he, his call was really good. But everybody remembers the radio one, and I had to listen to it on the radio that day too because I was working. So I remember that one. The Crosby goal, the shootout goal in the Winter Classic was big. It was big for the league because if that game didn't fly, probably wouldn't be any other Winter Classics. And for all the people that want to rip Winter Classics, it's fine, but it makes a lot of money, and the league uses that money. And so, like, it's a big money maker, and everybody will remember Sid for that and a million other things. But that was a pretty famous goal, like HD Snow, like all of that was kind of new. It was fun, even if it was in Buffalo. And I kid. And another one, the Gretzky 50 in 39 games is pretty tremendous. It's just everything Wayne Gretzky is just amazing. Again, if you take away all the goals Wayne Gretzky ever had, he'd still be ahead of points ahead of Jaromir Jagr by like 4 points for the all-time lead in the NHL. It's just the dominance is just tremendous, and the way he could just outthink the opposition. Like, he wasn't the fastest guy, he didn't have the best shot, but he was always ahead of everybody. He was always a step ahead. And so, yeah, so that's a pretty big one too that everybody remembers. And even another one, Mario put 5 in one day, and he did that. He did that, I think, 3 times in his career. Like 5 goals for Mario. Oh yeah, just another day at the office.
Yeah, that's insane. I remember the first time I ever saw a player score 5 goals was Sergei Fedorov, and I was in awe. Like, I was still a younger guy, watching Sports Center the next morning because I couldn't stay up late or whatever to watch the games. And I remember seeing Sergei Fedorov score 5 goals, and I didn't know that you could do that. And Mario Lemieux's doing it 3 or 4 times in his career. It's just insane.
It's truly insane. The guy was just so talented. I was lucky too, because when I first started covering, a couple years into it, Mario made his big comeback, and I got to cover him at a game at MSG early on, and then some other things, and then eventually he was Sidney Crosby's everything. And he lived at the house. And it was just great. It was an amazing time, really.
Man, that's great stuff. Jack, I'll ask you, Jack. First goal that comes to mind for favorite game-winning goals in hockey history, and we'll see if it's in Russ's book.
There you go.
All right. Well, it's obviously Flyers. From mine, it's got to be somebody. Shadow just put it in the chat here. Roenick against Toronto, and a lot of that is because of the Sammy Kapanen hit right before it happened.
I remember I covered that game. I remember the Kapanen hit. He couldn't get back to the bench.
Oh my God!
Crazy.
It just the sudden change of events was like this. Oh my God! He's got baffled. Here comes Toronto. I think before that they had a chance with Leclerc and Recchi, and they didn't score. And here comes Roenick and Amani, and you could tell Roenick's going to shoot. Like, you just know he's going to shoot. It eliminates Toronto. That was nuts.
It didn't make it. The one that did make it was the 5 OT goal by Keith Primo, and that's a really famous one because a lot of people got home late. I remember I fell asleep on that game. I woke up. It was double overtime, and I just stayed up.
It was still on when you woke up.
It was still on. It's like, it was just one of those games. Like I literally nodded off, and yes, and it was tremendous. It really was, and Primo was a heck of a guy, and that whole thing, that was just an amazing game, and people remember that. Like, people remember that 5 OT goal because there's not that many of them.
That one is definitely my number 2, if not tied for number 1. And you said my dad fell asleep on the couch. That was a Thursday night. It was a school night for me. And I was able to stay up because my dad fell asleep. I kept looking to see if my mom was coming, and I think they just forgot about me. And it was great. I saw the whole thing. And yes, I will never forget that one. That was culture shock when he scored. My reaction to that was way different than when Roenick scored, because I almost was like, it wasn't real because you've been watching for so long.
Yeah, the game went on forever.
There was another one in here somewhere I wanted to bring up, but my story is similar to yours, Jack, where, dad's asleep on the couch behind you. Mom went to bed, and it's like, I'm awake, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning here, Yeah, Flyers are still on.
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And I just, the Flyers down 2-1 in that series at the time. So it's like, this series could be over if they lose this.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was just all the ramifications for sure.
One that's for people that are of a certain age, a little younger than me, the JJ Daigneault goal, like everybody.
Oh yeah.
That one. Biggest one of his career, certainly. So that's in there. Simone Gagne made it for his.
I was going to mention that in Boston, right? The Game 7.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that hasn't come up in the chat yet. That's my go-to.
Yeah, that was a big one. I covered that series too, just on the Flyers side, just locally. But I mean, everybody thought they were dead, and they just kept winning and coming back. And I remember there was a point where I was like, "This could happen." And then there, and it did. I mean, I remember they left town and it was tied, and I was like, "Wow, 3-3. Like, how is that even possible in this series?"
So I'm not sure how. I mean, I will be getting the book, but I'm not sure how it's written. So I'm going to ask you now: is the Brett Hull goal that's in there?
It's in there. Yeah.
I see that with the whole waiting. Yeah, it just they're in the locker. They were celebrating, and then in the locker room waiting for like an official answer. Like that
I
was
won't
just
spoil it.
bonkers.
There's a lot of quotes that Brett Hull gave about that goal at a different time. It wasn't like fresh that I spoke to him, but they're really poignant because he knows how to handle stuff. He's a good guy. He's a legend of the game. His dad was a legend too. Like best father and son combo, really, probably in almost any sport. I mean, that's how good they both were. But technically, it was okay. Technically, it was in the rules. They changed it after because they realized, this didn't look great. But them's the breaks.
This is the crease goal against Buffalo, Dallas, right?
Yeah, and Sabres fans are salty about it. I get it. They're saltier now, but they have a good reason to be.
The one player I thought would be the saltiest because he was so good and really got that team there was Hasek. But when you ask him, I saw an interview with him. He was like, it was a goal. Like, come on. Like, no matter how you view it, come on, it was a goal. So I'm like,
he's pretty good that way. Like, he's one of the greats of all time. And I think he gets it. He's not going to have sour grapes with that.
Yeah. So
speaking of salty Buffalo, what are they at now for a losing streak? Like 16, 15?
15 or 16.
Oh my God.
And they're tied with my New York Jets they're going to be 14 years without playoffs. So yeah. It's it's unbelievable how quick it happens. Like when teams just don't make it for long stretches, it just gets on you quick because there's always this hope at the beginning of a year. And the Sabres had a reason to be hopeful. They had 2 young goalies. Yeah, maybe that was going to be a small problem for sure, but a lot of good young talent, and it just never meshed. And I know I'm talking like the season's over, but it's going to be impossible for them to come back this year. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it's inexplicable. And those are good fans. I mean, every year they're among the leaders in watching the Stanley Cup out of market. These fans love hockey, and they have reached the end of their rope. Many of them, like they are just beside themselves that the team just continues to be this bad. So it's a tough time. It is. And I feel bad. Like I know Matthias Samuelsson, right? His dad, Shell, was with the club. He grew up around here. I've chatted with him more than a few times, and he's a great kid. And, you just feel bad.
What'd you think of the I think it was the owner, his comments about it not being a destination city and all that? And while
that was Kevin Adams, the GM, said it. And
oh, geez.
It's a cop-out.
Like, right? Yeah. I was like, oh man, things are already bad enough.
City, yet the Bills are able to pick up tons of guys at trading deadlines. How come? Because they're good. Good.
Mario Williams signed there. Is like the biggest defensive agent or player on the market, and Bills weren't exactly a stud team then. So it was a cop-out. Absolutely a cop-out.
It's just that's not the reason. The reason is you're not good. That's what.
So Jack and I have that conversation a lot on this show about, maybe today's players wanting to go to destination cities with, no income tax, things like that. But to hear a GM come out and say the things that he was saying, what does that do to the guys in the room that are already there? Do you think that has an effect on them to hear their GM talking that way?
It seemed hopeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long ago that was or how many losses were already.
I mean, I owe an apology to Ryan O'Reilly because I was just like, this guy's really speaking out. I don't know if it was the right time to do it. I remember saying that at the time, but no, he was right. Jack Eichel, 100% right. Like Jack Eichel wants to win. Like he's a winner. I covered him his whole career. That guy's all about winning, and it wasn't going to happen. And then the whole thing with the neck started to become a real pain in the neck, for lack of a better term. And he goes and wins a cup elsewhere. Like this is what happens now with the Sabres. It's like guys leave. If Dylan Cousins is the next guy out the door, who knows? I mean, I don't think he's a center. I never thought he was a center. I think if he goes back on the wing, he'll start scoring goals again. So if they trade him, maybe he's going to go win somewhere. It's tough.
Sam Reinhart wins the Cup of Florida last year.
Won the Cup. Yep.
So you mentioned you like Cousins better on the wing, Russ, and as we know by now, Dylan Cousins' name has come up in some trade rumor chatter, and it's getting to be that time of year. This is not a guy maybe the Flyers want to be looking at if he's more of a natural wing.
I think that could help them because they do need a wing, but the problem is the Sabres are going to try and recoup this trade like at the center.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the Flyers are probably not going to be in on that. I still think, a swap of Peyton Krebs, and I think at this point, maybe do Farabee. He needs a change. I think he's just struggling too much. He's frustrated. You saw last game, he wanted to start a fight with anybody, just going to the bench because he's that frustrated. The guy can score. Has he been put in the best position to score? Yes, with Travis Konechny, no, not on the power play. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good power play guy, and he doesn't really get any time on it. And so I feel like he's gotten jostled around enough, and some of it is own doing, like he's just having a bad year. But I also felt like he was getting maligned a year ago where, what was he, 5 less points or 5 more points, I couldn't remember, next to Owen Tippett. And Tippett's was a great season, and his was garbage, basically.
Interesting.
And that was the perception, and now this year he's just having a bad year. So I think if he had a change, it would help him. I think Krebs is a good center. I think Krebs could help a guy like Michkov, because Krebs is not going to be the type of scorer that maybe, he was going to be out of the draft, but he does a lot of things right. He does, get in the dirty areas. I think Torts was only partially right about what he said about Michkov. Yeah, he's fallen off a little on the power play, but he's fallen off, period. Yeah. Like, last 5 games, he didn't have a shot on goal. Yeah. Like, that's a big deal. And he was -3 and a -4 in 2 of those games. So it's more than the power play. And the power play is not just about the sum of its parts. We know the problem with the power play. Like, I know I saw you guys already spoke about it. It's just not even worth talking about. But, I think a guy like Krebs could be a nice mix for a guy like Michkov, and then maybe it frees up Frost to play with somebody else. Frost is starting to play better. Like, they need to have more scoring on more lines. This team just doesn't score. I mean, they had on this little clip where they were scoring better, but on the season, they're not scoring much. And last year, I think they had 3 20-goal scorers. They're going to struggle to get that this year.
Yeah. So Peyton Krebs, this is a player that we talked about with someone that you might know. Michael Gello came on our show at the end of last year, and we were talking Peyton Krebs, and I'm curious to hear what you think. So it seems like he's still playing bottom 6 minutes with Buffalo. I
he moved
think
up with some injuries. He did get moved up.
Did he get moved up? Okay, I haven't paid as close attention.
I don't think he stayed there, but he definitely got a chance to play there.
So I guess what I'm wondering, is this a guy that still has that potential? Like, can he put up points on a third, and can he flex into a second line center role, or is he more fit for the third line kind of thing? Is that his ceiling?
I think you would start him on the third. I do think he could put up points. He definitely plays a little tougher now than he used to. He beat up Sidney Crosby, which I didn't think he could fight, but that was an interesting moment. But I do think there's upside there that really Buffalo is kind of, only touched on because he was playing fourth line a lot too, which is, he's not a fourth line guy.
No.
He's like a third line or bust, or a second line if he's playing really well, and he hasn't proved that he can play a second line yet. So, yeah, you'd put him on the third to start, but then that would free up other things. And so I think that could be a really good trade because, again, then it gets Scott Lawton out of the center position too, because he really shouldn't be in the center position.
Krebs is still just 23 years old. It seems like he's been in the league for like 10 years already.
Yeah, because, Vegas put him in early, and he also missed time with the Achilles. So, no, I mean, he's still young, and that's why it's a trade worth making. Kind of helps the Flyers with the books a little bit because Farabee's extended out, and Buffalo's kind of desperate. And I think they, Seth Appert's an assistant there, certainly knows all the NTDP guys. Farabee was formerly there. Farabee used to be like a shoot first, great shot guy, and he's strayed away from that now.
Yep.
I think he can get back to that somewhere else.
How do you think that happens? Is it more the system and maybe the way the coaching staff wants him to play, or do you think the players just lost confidence at this point?
Well, I think it's a combo. I think the first thing that he veers off with is, he starts to play the way coach wants him. He's a coach pleaser. This guy will do anything. He will run through a wall for you. You're never going to rip Joel Farabee for lack of effort ever on the ice. And so it's him wanting to please Torts. And I think he finally did that. And now this year, even with a bad offensive year, Torts likes him because he's playing the system really well and he's just not scoring. But that doesn't help him offensively because now he's put so much into playing the system well that his offense is strained. That happened to Noah Cates too, and now finally it's coming back a little for Cates. Again, Cates is not going to be a high offensive player, but he was always going to do better than what he was doing, and now I think Cates is doing that. I hope to see Farabee rebound the same way, but if he doesn't, you might have to trade him. It's the same thing as like Shane Gostisbehere. Guy had a great shot. All of a sudden, he couldn't hit it on net anymore in Philly. He said he wanted to stay in Philly. I believe him, but he was struggling, and he was struggling mightily, and so he needed to get out. When he got out, teams didn't focus so much on his all-around play or his play in his own end. They let him loose offensively and then do whatever else he could, and he got his offense back. And I think the same would happen with Farabee. I think sometimes you just have to go through those steps.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what the viewers and listeners think, because I think, you hear, Farabee potentially being moved, because Jack and I over the summer were like, can the Flyers bring in a guy like Trevor Zegras or, somebody who
now he's so injury prone,
right?
Based on what's happening with Drysdale, you don't want to go there,
right? But I guess like somebody who will pop off the page and get you excited a little bit, because I'm not sure people will get excited for Peyton Krebs. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I think if they watch him play, they'll appreciate the way he plays. Are they going to get excited? No, probably not. That's fair to say. They would be more excited about Cousins because he has a big, heavy shot, and that's something I think people could get excited about. But no, that's a fair point. But I think we should talk about goaltending because, I did a show last week. I don't think it's changed much. You know where they're ranked in the league?
Flyers overall?
Overall goaltending.
I think I just saw this, and it's dead last.
30th, 31st. Yeah. And the point about that really hurts is, so the Sam Ersson save percentage. Jim, I've walked up to you on press row and he's not had an NHL average save percentage for his career yet, and he still doesn't. And this year he was starting to at least be NHL average. But what's happened? I don't know who. All of a sudden he's playing deep in the net. Anthony Mingione pointed it out to me. I was noticing a change as well, and then it really hit me like, what is he doing? And first goal tonight, he's not up on the blue paint. He's back in, further in, it goes in. The second one, luckily it came off the board, but that was a bad goal. And he just doesn't look good. I wouldn't have started him in this game. I said off air to my co-host for Locked On Flyers, I wouldn't have started him in this game. I would have started Kolosov, but I think they were trying to let him gain his confidence back, and now it's going to, come back and work the other way because he's not having – the last 2 weeks has been awful for him.
Yeah, I before the season started, I had full faith, full confidence in Sam Ersson, and he's battling right now. Hey, we're talking save percentage. He's at a .881 right now, and just a few weeks ago before his injury, that was hovering around 900. Right. But now he's 20 points under, and looks like he's lost some confidence, which is
Couturier just got one back, so there you go.
A little scary. Oh, 4-2?
I think it might be 4. Is it 4-2? 4-3, yeah.
4-3.
Somebody said earlier it was 4-2, so there you go. We got to turn it back on soon.
Yeah, Jerry wants that one back, believe me. It banked off the inside of his skate. It wasn't that great a shot, but it was good that he got it on that. It was a good, strong play by Couturier. So
just get him to overtime. Flyers have been really good in overtime this year.
Right. What's hurt? All right, so look, they're a rebuilding team. I don't look at them as a playoff team. This is my cat, Anna, by the way. She's deaf. So
hey, Anna.
She does me out.
She's deaf, Jim.
Oh, sorry.
Sometimes meows a little too loud. But
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, the thing about it is you look at it and you say, look at their regulation wins. If this ever came down to a point where at the end of the season, which it could, because let's face it, I think there's one playoff spot for like 5 teams, a wild card.
Yeah.
And the Rangers now are in that mess where they were, probably not in that mess a month ago. So that's what you're looking at. I think 2 other teams most likely are coming over from the Atlantic the way things are going. But the point is, you need regulation wins, and they're either the lowest or second lowest in the league.
Yep.
It's rough. It's rough.
Right.
I want to ask you a question, and I don't know if you know the answer, but what is it about goalies when they suddenly start playing more in their net like that? Is it like a confidence thing, or are they just
I think it's a stylistic change, because I remember when Henrik Lundqvist got a little older, he started doing that, and it worked for him. it is not working for Sam. But I think they've worked with Sam, and they're kind of like getting him to do something different because, yeah, let's face it, right now, you could say Kolosov is outplaying him, and I wouldn't argue with you. But the problem is Kolosov is either not playing enough games or at some point might start to play too many. Like he's a developing prospect, and all of a sudden you've kind of thrown him into the pool here. And Fedotov doesn't exist, which is a bad situation because it got Emil Andre sent to the minors. We didn't deserve it. They were 12-8 with him and the team. The coach says he needs a power play quarterback. You sent down your power play quarterback. So it's like there's other things at play here, obviously, that just are probably frustrating as hell for fans. And we're, even when you cover it, it's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain, that's for sure. I don't understand. He was playing well before, so why the stylistic change? The only thing that pops into my head was the injury and how the team seems to be a little like
there's still something lingering that we don't know about that he came back sooner for, and maybe that's where they felt like if he was deeper in the net, maybe that would help that. We never get these details, so you don't know.
Right. And see, it's the only thing we can think of. It's like if he's coming back too early, well, then just play Kolosov and Fedotov. Well,
he doesn't want to play Fedotov. That's pretty obvious. He doesn't even talk about him anymore.
That is something, considering he's signed for 2 years like that, and that you want to at least
listen. I mean,
do something with the guy.
I like the guy. I think he's a good guy. He's a mature, married guy. I'm happy he came over with all that stuff that went on. But I wouldn't have signed him to that deal. And I said it because he was great when he was, 3 years ago. Then all that other stuff happened, and he didn't play a lot. While all that was going on, he didn't play a lot. So then he comes over here, and he hasn't really played at the top of his game for a number of years, and he's thrown into, the NHL because that's where it has to be because of the salary he's getting. Now, we hear that maybe, it's because of Michkov, and that's part of the way he came over. But at some point, like, Michkov's here. Like, you don't have to, keep going along with that if you don't want to. But it doesn't look great. It wasn't a great signing. But if they had to do it, I get it. But I wouldn't have done it. And now, what is it, like 3.2 on the cap? Like, that's a lot. It's not a Brizgalov contract, but, it's not good.
Can they send him to the minor leagues? Can they send him to the AHL? Like, he'll still get that contract. Is there a reason you think that they haven't done that?
They'll say, yeah, there's probably a reason that we don't know about.
Yeah.
If they did.
Not that he's going to get claimed.
Nobody's claiming him with that salary.
Right.
If they did, would Peterson and Fedotov be the most expensive AHL duo?
For goalies, yes, but not ever for the AHL. Because remember, Wade Redden once got sent down by the Rangers, and
there's a name
he was
for you.
Making big money.
I remember that now.
What people told me was he would take the guys out to eat all the time. He was paying for food all the time. So at least he, spent his money on his teammates, which is nice. But that was a lot of money. That was more than even what these two goalies would be making.
Well, you just mentioned Brizgalov, and I heard he did the exact same thing when he was with whoever. It was on the Flyers, guys. Hey, enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy. He's still good, probably.
Did Redden ever make his way back into the NHL, or was that it for him?
No, that was it.
He was a little bit older for my long time. Senator?
Yeah, long time senator, and went to New York, and it just didn't work out for him. And that's what happens. It was kind of like a Brizgalov kind of contract, but for a defenseman.
Yeah.
Well, Russ, we've had you for just about 20 minutes. For anyone that's maybe just tuned in, can you tell them where they can find your book, where they can find you on X or social media?
Yeah, X at Sportsology, Instagram. Sportsology.com is one of my websites. NHL Draft Buzz is my draft website, or if you want to go back and look at old videos, I have a Sean Couturier one up there from when he was drafted, I believe. I think it's still up there. But I have a bunch, and I put classic stuff up there. And, yeah, you can go to Amazon.com and get the Game Winners book, and you can get it in, paperback or digital, and it's available for both. If you want an autographed copy, just DM me. My copies are coming, and I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
I'll have to anytime, Russ, please. I'll have to get my autographed copy next time I see you.
Anytime.
Yeah, get mine autographed. But if I read the book and I see that Patrick Kane's goal's in there, I'm dude.
You know what?
Is it in there, Russ?
Of course it's in there. But
oh my God, you're kidding me.
because nobody knows that goal, right?
No,
Right.
they only play it every time we pay Patrick Kane, not the Blackhawks. Patrick Kane, because they just showed it when he's with Detroit. Detroit had
Well, he
nothing to
just
do with
scored that goal the other day, and everybody's probably thinking about it. But I will tell you this: nobody knows where the puck is, and I did write about that.
Hey yo,
Did you?
I think Chris Pronger knows where it is.
I don't think he does. I think he was being
Okay.
just fun, Chris Pronger with that. I think a linesman has it.
Okay,
Oh.
fair enough. Fair enough. I know
Because
Chris
that's
Pronger had. I
I
always say that.
I was out
Right.
on the ice. I never saw that puck. I was next to Scotty Bowman. There's a picture in the book where Jonathan Taves, with the cup over his head, and I took that with my cell phone because Scotty Bowman's like, "Hey, look, there's Jonathan Taves with the cup. Let's wait for a minute." And I snapped a quick shot on my cell phone, and then I continued to talk to Scotty Bowman. But I never saw that puck either. I asked a bunch of my reporter friends. They've done shows about it. It doesn't exist.
Good. They burned it.
It still counts, though. And I don't blame Michael Layton. I hope people don't blame Michael Layton. He took him on a run that it was improbable for him. And so, that wasn't his fault.
No, maybe not. Maybe it was.
Maybe game one was, but that's it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's the blame on him. But he didn't lose the Stanley Cup.
No. I mean, he was so good against the Canadians. I gotta give him credit.
Nobody would have expected that.
No, the whole season was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And the 2010 last game of the season shootout goal, it's in there.
Well, most people can't even name who started the goal for the Flyers for the season. Like they're like, oh, Boucher, oh, Layton. I'm like, neither.
Right.
it was Ray Emery.
Right.
Yeah.
It was Ray Emery.
Yeah. Most people forget. Yeah.
I know. All true.
Russ, thanks once again for taking the time. Once again, enjoy your holidays and
thanks, you too. Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays. Look forward to the book. Seriously, that's awesome.
I appreciate it.
Congrats once again, Russ. Great work, and we'll talk soon. All right. Game winners, the greatest game-winning goals in hockey history by Russ Cohen and Matthew Blittner. Make sure you guys go check that out. You can buy it off Amazon. That's great stuff.
I was trying to have it here for when we had him, but it said it was coming like 2 days after Christmas. I was like,
goddamn delays.
Darn it.
I had a little graphic to put up. I did not, but here it is. For anyone that's looking for the book, game winners. There you go. Nice. Yeah, great stuff. So somebody put in the chat, Jack, that it's 4-3 now. I guess that was the Couturier goal.
Yeah. So earlier, Eric put that it was 4-2. I don't know who scored, but it looks like it was Cates. Cates on a goal scoring streak for Vegas. Well, must have been Cates. That's awesome. Cates is on a roll, dude. Like
that whole third line.
Yeah, the Columbus game. Like a lot of people, I'm seeing like, oh, Frost. I think Tippett had the best game. What do you have? A goal and 3 assists, a great overtime goal, and the 1 assist he had to Frost was like Frost was at the right place at the right time. It was a dunk. Although his second goal was awesome, Frost, that was a beaut. But Cates, he was easily my third star, and he just is always in it. He's like one of the only Flyers right now. Maybe they're lying, you could argue, but really Cates plays a full 60. And the rest of this team just ain't doing that right now. But not Cates. Cates is Cates. Doesn't matter which way the team's going. He's going now that he's got the confidence back in playing. We touched on him earlier. Injuries kind of screwed him up last year. He didn't get off to the best start. Then he was hurt for a long time. Kind of hard when you come back to get into the swing of things. Comes out this season, settles in, and he's the player that I think the Flyers want him to be, starting to chip in offensively. But I like him for other reasons than that. In overtime, the goalie tried to break out pass that he just sniffed out right away. Like he is a smart hockey player, opportunistic, and you need players like that. And I really and Zach's got to ruin it. No, I appreciate you helping us out. Bunting with it, I believe it's second of the night, 5-3. It's only second period, right? We got time. So there you go, 5-3. But yeah, so good for Cates. As Cates trying,
Noah Cates now has 4 goals in 4 games, 4 straight games with a goal, and he has 5 points in his last 4 games. And I know that nobody really cares about this stat anymore, but on a team like the Flyers, who are, I believe, like a -20 in the goal category,
goal differential,
Cates is a +7. Yeah.
Heyo.
So
That
when
tells you
he's
that
on,
line, man. That line
yeah,
is because the other guy on that line who was on a goal streak himself was Forrester. And
yeah.
Forrester did score against Columbus. So, kudos.
How about Russ mentioning Emil Andre? The Flyers are 12-8 with him in the lineup. And I can't help it. I mean, I know the power play wasn't exactly on fire while Emil Andre was up, but it's looked especially bad since he's been out of the lineup. I don't know. And I know it's a rebuilding year, Jack, but do you think it's either they don't know what the hell they're doing with the roster, or it's like, if we lose a couple games here, that's okay too? Or is it just, is all of that just way off base?
I don't think it's way off base. I don't think they mind if they lose a few games. I don't think they like getting plastered. I think they like to play competitive. They got a couple of players on this team who could be a power play quarterback. So I think, and I can't point out what it was. It's not like he was horrific, but yeah, I think we can admit Andre was struggling a little bit. He was starting to take some hits, and maybe I'm not saying I saw it. Maybe it started to affect his play, and they're trying to nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
And, it's this more about building the team and the players than it is winning right now. So it looks kind of bad when your guy running your power play is taking off your power play and off the team altogether. And then the power play, which is already starting to struggle, is now just lost in the woods. I think there's something to that, but at the same time, they're not looking. If we were trying to win, I would be killing Torts. If we were in the rebuild's over, we spent all our money, we used all our draft picks, everybody's here, it's time to win. And Torts was treating the team that way, the way he is this year, I would be very pissed off. I would be upset with every little thing he was doing. A lot of fans are doing that. That's their prerogative. You're a fan, you do whatever you want. They're not trying to win. That is not the memo. They're trying to develop players. So if they decide for whatever reason this guy's not ready, or he needs to work on that, or he just needs a break, he needs to sit in the press box, that typically under Tortorella has usually worked to some degree. So I'm going to lean towards they see something because they're with them in practice. They see things like Tortorella has said he's watched games and been like, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad of the game. And then I watched the tape and I really saw we're not watching tape. The regular fans ain't watching tape. I know for a fact that Tortorella will watch games and watch them again and again. And if he thinks he sees something, considering he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, I'm not saying he's right. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And again, that's also because they're not trying to win. That's not their first priority. Building the team, building the players, developing the players, that's their first priority. And things like this and more things like this are going to happen, unfortunately. And the fans who are impatient because they were so good last year, like I saw a comment that said, oh, the Flyers took a step back in the rebuild because they're not as good as they were last year. That literally makes no sense. Like, because they overachieved last year, they now have to be better this year. Like, no, they're still in the rebuilding phase. When they say it's time to win, then that matters. Like, they're just a warped outside view of how this team is being viewed by impatient fans. And it's tough. It's irritating. You get that little taste of pretty much the playoffs. You had to play 82 important games last year. It came down to the very last game where the last couple of years they're out by what? A couple of days after the deadline. So like I understand why people are impatient and they think they should be somewhere else. And that's why they wanted to trade for a center mid-season because that happens all the time. I mean, I'll be honest, I was pushing for it for the offseason, but it wasn't just anybody. I wanted somebody who could grow with this team. I didn't want to bring in Brock Nelson so we have somebody who we can, move forward with or whatever. No, and it was a little bit of a different idea we had in the offseason, but now fans are getting wild. They're getting wild. And I'm sorry, but management has told you time and time again that's not what they're doing. When I point out things I don't like, it's the 3 goalie thing. That thing is just strange. It just screams they only signed Fedotov for Michkov. I didn't think Russ was going to bring that up. I wasn't going to say anything, but it's pretty well known. Let's be real. That's why he's here. But it's about developing the players and seeing who you have in all situations. If they feel that Andre needs some seasoning or a little bit of a rest or just to regain his game at the AHL level before he comes back up, in the meantime, they can try the Sandheims and the Yorks and the Zamulas and whoever else on the power play and just to see what you have with the players currently on your roster, because that's what this season is. Sorry, long-winded answer.
All good. Yes, I mean, back to that a little bit. We mentioned, did we talk Cam York with Russ? I don't think we did, but
He touched on him a little bit, not too deep.
Cam
I think he mentioned Farabee with Buffalo. So no, yeah. I think
Cam York, 2 penalties tonight.
Oof.
In the first period. Pittsburgh, 2 power play goals.
I bet you they were both holding. You know when you hold, Jim?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you are right. 2 holdings against
fat.
Brian Russ
That's
and
being
Phil
fat.
Tomasino.
The guy runs by you. You got to grab on. I can't keep up with you right now. How about that? Wow, we connect the dots, baby.
Yep. You know who wouldn't have held? Emil Andre.
No, he might have gotten crushed, but he wouldn't have held.
No.
I love Andre. I really do. Sorry.
So yeah, the Flyers get 2 goals back in that second period. They win the period 2-1. So I guess if we're looking for positives, I'll say this: after this show, I may put a wager on this game, and I may put it on the Flyers to win.
Hey-yo, in overtime. Am I right?
Yeah, why not? I think that they outscored Pittsburgh by 2 goals in this third period, and they win this game.
You know what I want to see? And I don't know the stats. Maybe I'll look them up real quick. And this will probably change if that hasn't happened. I'm not too keen on whether they win or lose. I want to see Michkov get a point, particularly a goal, but I'll take a point. And if it were a direct assist, that would be even better, because he really has, and we touched on this a little bit, pretty much invisible. Excuse me. Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. I clicked you off so I could try to look up the score, and I'm struggling. I don't have my phone with me, so I'm playing catch up here. But I think getting him back and going, even if it's before the break, just to get everything rolling again with him, because it's been a shame seeing him just kind of not what we had seen before. He was like a point per game player, and that has fallen off completely from that. So I'd really love to see him get back on the score sheet.
Yeah. Speaking of score sheet.
So hold on real quick. He is no points, 1 shot, 1 hit, 1 giveaway, and he's a -2.
Who's this?
Michkov tonight.
Yeah. Hasn't looked great. I think he needs a break. Like this. You know what I don't really like, to tell you the truth, because the Flyers weren't playing bad. They were losing to good teams late, but I don't think that they were playing bad. They had the 3 days off, and then they had games against Detroit. Who was it on the second night of the back-to-back? I can't remember.
LA?
Now. Detroit, LA. I thought they played LA tough, and they couldn't hang in a third period. And then the game against Columbus, where they had to come back. They had 3 days off. And in that first game against Detroit, they didn't look good.
They looked like that was the second half of a back-to-back game.
They did. You're right. Exactly that. And I had the same thought. Like, whoa, guys, this is the first game off 3 days off. You're supposed to have your legs for this one.
The other thing is, it seems like they're only doing any of their scoring outside of like the Konechny goal, the first goal of the game. I think it was against Detroit, and then they didn't really score much after that. It's like they have to be losing now. They have to be down. Even Columbus, down 2-0 before they start scoring. Tie the game, give up a goal, get it back. Give up a goal, get it back. And luckily they won the game in overtime. But it seems lately these games, they have to be losing to start playing with any kind of care, urgency. Like if as far as like building leads, that's like a foregone thing. Like I haven't seen that in forever. And if they do, it's only 1 goal. Like the days of being up 3-1 or 2-0 are of November years past. Like this December has not been kind to them in that regard.
Yeah. Well, good thing is it's almost done. After tonight, they have 4 days off. And before you mentioned they travel out to Anaheim. I did have a schedule somewhere here. When does that start? That starts the first game of I think it's a 3-game California road trip. But let me just make sure I have the world at my fingertips. So I will look up the Flyers schedule. After tonight's game, the Flyers are off until the 28th, the Saturday, where they play the Anaheim Ducks. And then they have the LA Kings once again on the second night of a back-to-back. And then they finish off that trip with San Jose on New Year's Eve. I'm sorry, that's not the end of the trip. They travel to Las Vegas 2 days later and then finish up the trip in Toronto. So that is a tough 5-game road trip, Jack. Before we wrap up the show, so we're looking at Toronto, Vegas, San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Jack. How do you see that playing out for the Flyers? What do you think that record is for the road trip?
Probably 2-2-1, maybe. I was going to say 2-3, and that's like taking the easy bait. They beat San Jose and Anaheim and lose to everybody else. I'm hoping they come out a little bit stronger out of the gate, take one of those teams to a shootout or something, and maybe snag a point. But I can't give them too much more confidence. Who the hell knows with the goaltending? Who the hell knows with the defense?
Yeah.
And the power play, like there's so many question marks right now. So many players just in a rut. So hard to say, but it don't look good.
No, it seems like they have a lot to shore up here. So, yeah, not great. Hey, as long as they beat Cutter Gauthier on Saturday, and then it's going to be Michkov and Celebrini on New Year's Eve. Get used to hearing that. That could be like a premier matchup for years and years to come there. That should be fun. But I expect the Kings to give them a tough time in Los Angeles. And then obviously they finish up with Vegas and Toronto. That's not going to be easy, but you never know with the Flyers. They lose to some of the weaker teams and they beat some of the good ones. So whatever. That's why you play the game, right, Jack?
Just play the season for a reason, baby.
I like that. Okay. So why don't we end it on that poetic rhyme there. Everybody enjoy your holidays. Have a good Christmas. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure that you've subscribed. Hit the like button, smash the alert button, whatever you do, hit it or smash it, whatever. But yeah, that's going to do it for our episode here tonight. Well, everybody watch the rest of the Flyers game. I'm going to go toss $20 on it, Jack. How about you?
Well, I might take some prop bets. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes, but it sounds like a good idea. You got me a little pumped up there, but It was 4-3 at that time. Still more odds, better odds, more money. I just want to throw out there that this may be the last show for High and Wide, because if Jim beats me in fantasy, I will never talk to him again.
I was just going to say I'm not going to talk to you again until Sunday, but if I don't talk to you before then, I might never talk to you again.
Don't talk to me Sunday. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Nothing personal.
I'm text you first thing in the morning.
That's fine. Once the 1 o'clock game starts, I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to be lied to or played with or led to believe I'm winning when I'm losing or losing when I'm winning. That'd be nice, but I don't want that. Leave me alone. There's games on Christmas Day.
I hate that. I hate that, by the way. I hate that there's games Wednesday and even Thursday. Just put them all on the weekend, you know?
I know. I think I'm lucky enough where I'm not going to have anybody playing in either of those games. So I'm like, yeah, I got to make one switch. The guy's like super questionable anyway. I'm like, you know what? At least just leave me alone.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to you Sunday then, bright and early. Don't worry.
That's it. Then you're done. Then you're done. Then I don't hear you till Tuesday afternoon.
Here's what I've been doing, and you can ask Backle and Broadbent. I'll send them a good luck text early. And then at the end of the night, I say, congrats on a good season, bud. That's what you're going to be getting.
No. You know what's been happening to me? Because it's funny. Same exact two things. Remember, I made the season by winning. A winner makes the playoffs. I played Mazzetti, who had one of the best teams, right? He texts me by 2:30 Sunday. It's over. I beat him, which is way too early for anything. Well, Jake did the same thing. Same thing. He made it to 2:45. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. Stop it. Yeah. So I know you're not going to do that. We'll see. If you do, now I know it's bullshit. So
don't give me any of your reverse jinx bullshit.
But you're not going to text me anyway because I just told you.
Now it's routine. Now it's Sunday ritual.
Let me ask you this: when you told them good luck, what'd they say?
I don't know if they said it back or not. I don't know if I heard back from them after the good luck text until it looked like they were going to lose. And Broadbent was definitely going to lose, but Backle was like doing the Mazzetti where he like kind of gives in too early to like give you the reverse. But
it's definitely not over. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it's like 2 o'clock.
So. I never fall for it. I'm like, nope, sorry. Nope. I'm not even watching. I was at some kids park. What the hell it's called? I had my kids there. Storybook Land. I was at Storybook Land. I was like, nope. Just thinking about my storybook season. I mean, nope, not thinking about it. Not thinking about it. Not at all. I can't believe fantasy does this stuff to me. I'll go from this high to this is my last year. I'm done. You know, it's just a roller coaster. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, we got a little bit of fantasy football talk at the end of the episode here.
Everybody's in the championship and the playoffs right now. I mean, come on.
While we're on fantasy talk, make sure you guys head over to the Dauber Prospects Report show and Fantasy Hockey Life show. We did a 4-team fantasy draft of the World Junior teams, and you may notice a few of the names on my team. Check out the episodes. Let us know what you think. Listen to the Fantasy Hockey Life episode first, and then you can listen to part 2 of the draft on Dauber Prospects Report. Hopefully you guys enjoy that stuff. It's a lot of good content, very knowledgeable. Peter and Victor and Jesse are all very knowledgeable. So great stuff there. It's prospect talk. Who doesn't love prospect talk? World Junior Classic starts Thursday. We didn't really talk about that, but it's coming. It's always fun. It's that time of year. But Jack, let's wrap this one up. I know you got to go to bed. It's one more big night for you, and then you're off for a little while. So let's let you go. This way you can be all rested up for Christmas Eve. Everybody have an enjoyable, safe holiday. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Happy holidays, everybody.